Waking up from a restful nap, Selestra stared up at the ceiling. As she laid on top of a comfortable bed, with the many pillows around her, she wondered whether if this was the best choice for her. As a noble, there were many paths she could take instead of what she was heading towards. What sealed the deal in her mind was the look the creature gave to her as it was about to devour her. Getting changed, she walked out of her room and headed towards the dining area. Charles and Meredith were waiting for her, with her food already placed on the table. Selestra could never figure out how the food was prepared for her when she woke up. This was likely the product of the many years her maids trained for. Sitting down at the table, she quietly ate her food. Charles and Meredith could sense that she didn't want to talk about the matter of her going to the Adventurers Guild, so they stayed silent on the issue. Inside the tower, Selestra walked over to the kiosk marked Adventurers Guild and approached the woman. The worker looked a little older than her, with straight black hair and glasses. She would be described as petite if guys were to look at her. The woman looked up at her and smiled, saying, "Welcome to the Adventurers Guild. Are you here to complete a request or to pick up a new one?" "I am here to sign up to become an adventurer," Selestra told the woman. Not looking surprised by this request, the woman asked, "As a student of the academy, your student ID will be used as your adventure ID." When Selestra had handed over her ID to the woman, she placed Celestra's ID over a device. It was similar looking to the various scanners all throughout the academy. The scanner was the size of a person's fist and as thin as a finger. From what she knew of this device, the scanner could read the sequence of mana flowing through the card. All magic was built from a series of varying strength of mana. This explains how mana inside of a person knows whether it should be a firebolt or a firestorm. Once the process was complete, the woman handed Celestra's card back to her. Looking at it, Selestra could see that the information was updated to include the new information. Name: Selestra Ignalis. Year: first year. Rank: lower B rank. Specialty: fire. Titles: none. Job: adventurer. Request in progress: NA. Finished request: NA. Though you are lower B rank, I would recommend that you start off at D rank missions to get used to the difficulty level in a request. The biggest mistake that new adventurers make is not getting used to the ranking level, so they take on a request that they were not ready for. The woman explained to her, "I appreciate your suggestion and will take it to heart." Selestra responded, understanding the weight of the woman's words. If you are looking for a team to work in, we have several groups that are looking for a powerful mage, such as yourself. You can view the various teams on the board behind you. On the other side are the requests for this area. Each of the different guild branches will have different requests. Behind me, you will see any requests that are requesting adventurers not within the local area. These are usually requests that are looking for A rank and above individuals. The woman further explained, "For any additional questions, my name is Sally. I am one of the workers at the Academy branch." Sally introduced herself. Thanking Sally, Selestra moved towards the board and looked at the various notices. There was a broad range of groups looking for different roles. Some teams were looking for someone that could scout and look for traps, while others were looking for a reliable individual that could take on a lot of damage for drawing in the enemy. Reaching out to the board, she used her finger to check each flyer. Selestra finally found one that asked for a mage. They even include a ranking range that they would accept. She just barely scraped by, considering they were looking for someone between lower C rank to lower B rank. The paper said that they would be meeting up at around noon each day before heading off to do training. The meeting place was the entrance to the city. This would give her enough time to gather some supplies and update her armor. Usually, a mage wouldn't wear too much armor, but Selestra now understood that the world was never predictable. Just because an area was meant for a particular rank, it didn't mean that this would actually be the case. Stopping by her place, she informed Charles and Meredith about what she would be doing. They were still unhappy that she had decided to become an adventurer, but they were relieved that she would be joining a group. Charles requested that he should go with her when she was looking for equipment, so the two of them headed off to the outer city to visit stores selling armor and weapons. When she reached the entrance into the city, Selestra was wearing light plate armor. The armor wasn't the type that knights would wear, but would fit her fighting style. Her chest was protected, along with her shoulders, thighs, shins, and forearms. The areas that didn't have plate was covered in flexible leather. Compared to the school trip, she was more heavily armored. With the amount she was wearing, Selestra could feel more comfortable going into the world. Also, the armor would help her to increase her strength and endurance. At the store, she also picked up a new magic staff to improve her fire magic and defend herself with, in addition to a one-handed sword. After she had been kidnapped, her father had ordered the guards to give her some rudimentary fighting skills. Being a mage, she received some training in using a sword, but mainly in using a magical staff. This is how she would have initially gone in, but she allowed her arrogance to blind her. Though she may be a powerful mage, compared to adventurers, she was still weak. While checking herself, she heard a group of people approaching. Looking up, Selestra saw a team of 6 individuals heading her way. "Are you here in regards to the notice that we placed at the Adventurers Guild?" A well-built man wearing heavy armor asked. "My name is Selestra, and I am a B-rank student at the academy," she answered. A couple of the adventurers looked doubtful about her abilities. The thickly armored individual, who looked like the leader, asked, "For a mage, you're wearing a lot of armor." When he saw the expression on her face, he quickly said, "It's just unusual to see a mage with so much on." Trying to hold back a sigh, Selestra responded, "I have gained some experience fighting against monsters, and learned to not assume a situation to be as easy as it seems. It is always better to be over-prepared for a scenario than to be left in a position where you are in trouble." Hearing her response, many of the ones that doubted her began to nod their heads in agreement. "It's good to hear you say that. Many new adventurers go out into the world thinking everything will be easy," a bunny-eared woman said to her. Based on her light gear and bow on her back, Selestra thought she was a scout of the group. The rabbit people were well known for their hearing ability and quick reflexes, so she would definitely have an advantage when it comes to finding enemies and getting back to the group. Once they finished introducing themselves, they followed the road away from the city. Unlike her class, they didn't head towards the forest, which made her relax. "I heard that the forest is filled with low-level monsters. Are we not heading towards there?" Selestra asked, trying to learn more about that place. "You should stay away from there. It may have been a good place to train, but now it has become an odd place where many adventurers have gone missing. It hasn't become so severe where the guild will step in and put out a special subjugation request, but it's slowly becoming known as a place that new adventurers should stay away from. We are hoping the guild finally recognizes this, so that people stop going there." Albert, a swordsman who uses magic to boost his fighting ability, told her. "We only know about this because many of our friends have never returned after heading there to gain experience," Sarah, the bunny-eared woman, informed her. Her face looked depressed as she remembered her comrades. "There is a field that monsters tend to congregate. The monsters there tend to be around D rank, so it's a good place to visit for developing teams, Frank, the heavy armored leader, told her. Seeing Selestra look a little anxious, Sarah placed a hand on her shoulder, saying, "Our group is large enough where it's not easy for us to be overwhelmed. We understand how dangerous being an adventurer is, so we tend to be cautious." Hearing Sarah tell her this, Selestra was able to relax a little bit. It was very different from how nobles acted, overconfident in their abilities. She felt like it was a good thing for her to join a group, instead of going out on her own. The trip to their destination was relatively long, the sun getting ready to set. Frank informed Selestra that the group would need to camp for the night, instead of going directly to the field. This is a relatively safe area, so we won't have to worry about stray monsters or bandits. We'll still set up a night watch just in case. You'll be paired up with Sarah for the first shift. Frank let her know as she was pitching her tent. That night, away from the city and out in the open, the stars looked beautiful the way they filled the sky. Selestra and Sarah stood away from the camp, looking around them and listening to any signs of an intruder. The dark looked ominous the way it seemed to hide everything. With the stars out, there were plenty of shadows that seemed to move around. She kept imagining creatures lurking around them, which didn't help her experience in the dark. "What made you decide to become an adventurer?" Sarah asked her suddenly. Startled by the sudden noise, Selestra calmed down when she realized that it was Sarah asking her a question. Pondering, she softly responded, "I realized that I was overestimating my own abilities, and that I need to become stronger." "Does it have anything to do with the forest?" Sarah asked. "How?" Selestra was startled by how sharp Sarah was. "When Frank was telling you about the forest, I noticed that you looked frightened by it. You tried to hide it, but it was fairly obvious," Sarah told her. Hearing how everyone in the group probably knew about her being a coward, Selestra hung her head. "There's nothing wrong with being scared. I don't know what you went through inside there, but it isn't something you should feel ashamed about. Just by the equipment you're wearing, the experience is something you learned from." Sarah tried to comfort her. Raising her head, Selestra was glad to hear that Sarah didn't look down on her. When it was the end of their shift, Selestra headed towards her tent and went to sleep, knowing that she was with kind people.